I see. I see everybody has appeared. How nice. Um, Miranda, Brandon, welcome to the both of you. Miranda turned her camera off again, but you know, who cares, right? It's okay. It's completely okay. Um, so, welcome to another edition of What Survives the Morning with Wendy, Miranda, and Brandon. I'm your publication maven, Wendy, and Miranda is the editor in chief, and we'll get her back in a minute, I hope. And then Brandon trains our AI to write all of our stories.
Don't say that.
No, because I don't want. I purposely don't want AI anywhere.
I'm back.
Yeah, anywhere in the publication. So, um, you know, I'm just going to go right into it. The Iran war's gone on for 6 fucking months. Is it ever going to stop?
No. No, because the Christian nationalists think it's a holy war.
Right. So now we have to talk about Caitlyn Jenner. So I read her transcript twice before I published this shit. Once just to get all the facts straight, and once because I couldn't believe that anyone would sell a room, that she stands in for 11 minutes with her shit-eating grin on her face and believe it. And it's all a fucking hunk of shit. So where does that story start? So the story starts here. Two former NBA players declaring themselves eligible for the WNBA draft because they're trans. And the whole purpose is they're trying to make a point. But does that go too far? I don't know. So in this case, it was Ennis Cantor Freedom and Royce White, who, I'm sorry, are draft day ass clowns, whose entire athletic legacy is now complete dog shit. Announced on Fox Business that they identify as women now.
They keep misgendering themselves, though.
Right. And so Jenner said they had a point, and she agreed. And so Jenner whined in April that her own passport now reads male, reissued under the administration. And she campaigned for and defended on that network that it should not have been. And so here's the thing, not a confused woman doing her best. That's a grift. It's a fucking grift. It's a millionaire standing with a booking who mangled, shit on air. That when asked about Kathy Edinburgh, well, she said Kathy Edinburgh because she didn't know the WNBA's commissioner's name. And then with the serenity of someone who's never been afraid of a Walmart bathroom, literally said on air, XX, you're in. XY, you're out. Fuck you, it's that simple. And the league didn't blink about it. It called that stunt what it was, bad faith. And so now the WNBA is just rife with transphobia. And so here's where I keep landing. Caitlyn Jenner is the one trans woman they put on television precisely because she says the thing that costs her not one fucking dime and costs the rest of us the goddamn locker room, the clinic, the job, my passport. It's not a viewpoint. A job description without a wardrobe budget. And that, I'm just going to say it, that cocksucking ass weasel deserves every ration of shit that the trans community decides to give her. It's a horseshit joke underneath, which is the machine that she feeds. Already took her documents in April, and they won't know her name when it comes time for her coverage. They'll get it wrong on the air, and that'll be okay. But Miranda, why is that not okay?
For a million reasons, it's not okay. But like, she's so insulated from a lot of the things that the rest of the trans community has to face because of her wealth and fame. So that makes her perfect patsy for dehumanizing all of us. And this sports thing isn't really about sports. It's about demeaning trans people. It's about focusing on what genitals people were born with and trying to extrapolate like a whole life based on that. And she's a traitor to the community.
She's a traitor. I mean, the fact of the matter is, guess what? You're right. She is. There's this belief that in the community, I mean, we sort of have to claim certain people. In the queer community, we claim share, right? I mean, I'm not wrong about this, right? Not that claiming share is necessarily bad because, her son is a pretty decent guy. I mean, I've seen interviews with him. He's actually pretty upfront, and I respect that, and I have to. But there's other people in the community that we don't have to claim, and Jenner's one of them. So, I guess the question is, does it make it okay for us to give her transphobia? I don't. Here's the thing.
What do you mean, give her transphobia?
Like, is it okay to treat her transphobically?
Oh no.
Right. That's the same thing as calling
that just feeds into the role that she's playing, because MAGA will just turn around and be like, well, y'all are dead naming or misgendering Caitlyn, so obviously what you say your moral values are in regard to trans people isn't true.
Yeah,
we can't be hypocritical about that.
No, that's like calling Lindsey Graham gay.
I was just gonna say it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier in the week about outing people who are gay or whatever, and just to get back at them.
I mean, because before outing people was had such a problem. It was such a problem. Now, okay, outing people has always been a profoundly difficult problem. In the 80s, that was a death sentence. If you outed somebody, you know, you'd have half the people that wouldn't believe it. The other half the people would be like, "Oh, I'm gonna beat that motherfucker up." Um, like 70s and 80s. If you called Liberace gay, there were old women who would tell you, "You don't say that unless you know it's fucking true or not." And it was like, um, are we talking about the same person?
Yeah, but we can't go off of gaydar, no matter how big and obvious the blip is.
I get it. I mean, I get it 100%. Um, but I mean, here's my shtick about that is, or Paul Lynde, the uncle from Bewitched. I mean, holy fucking shit. Are we? But then, and not that there isn't credibility to this, but people that call John Wayne gay. Holy fuck. Okay, if that were ever even remotely true, well, I mean, it did Rock Hudson. Rock Hudson was like a man's man. And when it came out that he was gay, like every woman was like, I want to go fuck him right now to turn him back. But it's not okay. In Hudson's case, back in the day, he couldn't really just say, "No, I'm not gay." He had full blown AIDS. There was no way. I hate to say this. I think Cary Grant was the one who, like, he dodged that bullet. I firmly believe that Cary Grant was gay. I mean, all the signs were there, but
I thought Cary Grant was known to be in certain circles to be bi, but I guess we can't really have an answer for that.
Well, and like that was never like spoken necessarily, but he had the same reputation that Anthony Perkins had. And Anthony Perkins was the most bisexual man in Hollywood in his time. Of course, he was also one of the first people on film to be in a cross-dressed situation and get away with it. Like in a major film, Psycho, he dressed up like his mom. But and Brandon, I kind of want your hot take on this. So, like, yeah, outing. Let's go back to that discussion. Outing in the '80s versus outing now versus being transphobic in the '80s or '90s, more specifically, versus now. There are parallels there. Do you believe that?
Sorry, I had to find my mute button around my cat. What was so outing people in the 80s and
versus
outing people
now
today versus now?
Compared to being transphobic, back in the '90s, it was okay to call people a sissy, and it was okay to call people "you're a man in a dress." There's people that do it today. Just the outrage is a lot worse.
Yeah, I mean, in the 80s, it was. I think it was more dangerous because a lot of people assumed that if you were gay, you automatically had HIV or whatever, and I think the ostracization was much more significant than it would be today.
Right. No. So the ostracizing that happened in the '80s, it was worse than it is now.
Right.
Yeah. You call somebody gay on the train now, nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
But see, now I think there's a parallel there. And here's the parallel. So just tell me if you kind of agree with this and then sort of run with it. But so back in the 80s, accusing someone of being gay was bad. If you did that, there was a visceral reaction, one way or the other. You know, versus the generation now, so Gen Z and Gen, I guess, Alpha is it now? After that, um, you're on the train, somebody walks up to you and calls you a fag. A Gen Z or a Gen Alpha is going to walk up and go, "You don't fucking say that to them." That's fucking race. That. So there's like it goes one way, and then time progresses, and the meter builds up, builds up, builds up, builds up, and goes in the other direction. And so now it's not qualifiable to say anything like that because you're going to get a reaction.
And some of it may still depend on where the person is from and what family they came from.
Right.
Because the conservative Christian whose kids who are indoctrinated and grow up with that very rigid teaching may still take offense to being called gay or whatever. And
yeah, I mean, even though Gen Z is maybe more likely
yeah,
speak up in like public harassment situations, there are also lots of Gen Z people who are still using gay as a pejorative term.
Right. Yeah. Of that, I would clearly agree. I would agree with that analysis.
But for the most, I mean, overall, I think you're right. It has shifted, but there are still those pockets.
I mean, those pockets are always going to, I think, exist.
Yeah.
They're always going to be in that space, and I don't think that that's going to necessarily stop or change anytime soon. But I don't know. It over the weekend, this past weekend, I went out on a date. So this is a date story. You'll like this. And so, we went to the local pizza shop down the street. And so we're sitting there, and my date, we're eating pizza, drinking beer, having a good time or whatever. And she looks up and she's like, "Hey, I just want you to know that there's two girls who are over the counter ordering food. And I want you to be aware that they're staring at us. Probably at you." And I went, "Fuck, here we go." Okay. And so, there I am. I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, what the fuck is this even going to turn into? And so I just put my head down, and the two girls walk up because my back's to them, so I can't see them. And my date is like, they stop at the table, and then suddenly I hear the words, "Oh, hi, Mom, it's me." And I went, "Gizmo?" And of course, I jumped up out of the table and gave her a big hug. Told her to sit down, but that's a thing when someone clocks you in public. You go into that 50-50 mode. You're either going to embrace whatever the fuck it is, or you're going to shy away from it. Would you agree with that, Miranda? And so, yeah, versus if that had happened, in the 80s, there was a Netflix show about the drag queen houses. I forget the name of it. Pulse, I think, was the name of the show. But anyway, like in the second episode of the show, the main character, who was a drag queen, dressed up in drag and went into a gay bar, and the guy looked at her and said, "Hey, this is not a fucking costume party. Get the fuck out." Versus now when somebody says something like that, you're just like, back then you had to take it. Now you can stand up and go, "You need to leave me the fuck alone, and you need to sit the fuck down." Because there's not the concept, anybody that rushes up to hit somebody or attack, there's going to be other people in public that are going to be like, "Whoa, you need to stop." That's the societal change that happens there. And Brandon, by the way, thank you for keeping up with the chat. So we've been at war for 6 months. Do either of you think this is going to stop?
I mean, what did Iran say earlier this week or last week, that they don't even plan to negotiate in good faith until Trump is out of office?
Yes. Yeah.
And I mean, there's a strategic reason for that, but there's also the fact that you can't negotiate with him in good faith because he doesn't have any.
Right.
So any promise he makes is not going to be kept. So
No.
they might as well keep defending their home and defending the strait.
Yeah. Here's the further attenuation of that, and that's the USS Lincoln issue. So, are either of you current on this issue?
Which issue?
So, the USS Lincoln.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Historically,
it's
now
been at sea for 240 days,
and has had a record number of people that have jumped off of the ship.
Yeah.
Which is that's a suicidal move.
Yeah, and Cadet Bone Spurs isn't moved at all. He's like, I'm gonna just deploy him longer.
Well, here's the bigger problem, that it is now a resources issue. There are sailors on that boat who are literally getting a half a cup of rice for a meal once a day.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to fight a war when everybody has scurvy.
I mean, it's
the Crusades lasted for like 200 years, right? So we've got a while.
I love this. You're comparing the Iranian War to the Crusades.
Oh, I would go so far as to say this is an extension of the Crusades.
Yes, because we're basically talking about the same Holy Land conflict between the Ottoman Empire and the Christians and whoever else. People have been fighting over that strip of land for over 2,000 years. But still, pretty much, like the last 2,000 years, it's been a fight over that fucking strip of land. And by the way, I want to remind everybody that there was a long time that the Ottoman Empire actually ruled that region entirely, and there were no Christians there whatsoever. And, you can't say that to Christians because they look at you like, "What? Oh my God, no, there was never a time the Holy Land." was not controlled by God's chosen people, which is bullshit. But yeah, like so they have plumbing problems, they can't shower, they can't bathe, they're running out of food, morale is at its all-time lowest, you know. And so I don't know if you know, but this morning they announced the Lincoln is being switched out with another aircraft carrier so the Lincoln can go back. But here's the thing that, like, the underlying thing they didn't tell you, and that's many of the troops that are on the Lincoln are going to get the new boat. They're not going with the Lincoln. So basically, the new boat's going to go out there. Everybody's going to jump onto the new boat, and the old boat is going to go off, which is not going to improve morale. It's just not. But you know, and the Trump himself even said we're low keying the negotiations. We're only semi negotiating with them. And when that's your foreign policy, you know, especially in the tone of a guy trying to duck a fucking dinner invitation. That's what that sounds like to me. You know, he didn't call off the strikes in May. He didn't just call them off in May. He did it again on June 11th. He did it again on August 1st. You know, he didn't just call them off 3 times and declare the strait open, because he's done that repeatedly. 6 months in, and he's just watching it. You know, and Tehran has basically said the strait is ours. We control it. And when your own Joint Chiefs Chairman is reporting and urging you to off ramp and you don't listen, then we're not going to talk to you. Versus the IEA that warns that the 1.8 million barrel a day shortfall this quarter is going to kill us. Gas prices are going to go through the roof. You know, stocks
we're back above $4 a gallon here in Denver.
Oh, I can actually look out the window, and we're at $4.25 in Atlanta. You know, stocks are under 7 billion barrels for the first time since April of last year. You know, and it's just, look, start calling senators and saying we have to stop this. The arithmetic is the obscenity. So a fifth of the world's oil handled like a rental that somebody might just keep a deposit on. I mean, I think we'll keep it. Keep it 6 months. Casualty count that nobody in that building wants to read out loud. And the whole batshit shit show adds up to a landlord going, we're trying to go to negotiate. You know, while people who can't afford that petroleum are running out of money. They can't hold it up. They can't deal with it. Why would they want to? I don't know. I mean, the other really disturbing thing is the number of doctors that are lining up to say that Trump is in ill health and he's not going to make it to the end of the year. I hope he doesn't. I mean, I hope he doesn't. Does that mean that that's actually going to happen? I don't know. You know, Brandon, do you think he's going to make it to the end of the year?
Probably.
Really?
I mean,
yeah, I agree with with Brandon that the odds are pretty good. Like we, we have this whole like list of what his elements are and list of what we believe his elements are. And it's mostly things that a lot of average people live 10 more years with as they age. So to think that he's going to succumb to something sooner, unless he has a major stroke or coronary event, I don't.
Well, at this point, I think a coronary event is actually very likely, especially with the progressive waves. I mean, Hong didn't win in Wisconsin necessarily, but I still think that that a moderate Democrat and progressive Democrat wave is still going to happen. Trump openly states that his ratings are the highest they've ever been, but every polling office out there has him the lowest of his term.
Yeah, even Rasmussen, whatever.
Yes, Rasmussen. Yeah, the Rasmussen,
the right wing one.
the Rasmussen one. That one's really telling, and there's a reason for this. A real huge reason for this. Let me share with the class, because I can share with the class. You know, here we go. Let me share with the class. Give me just a second. Okay, here we go. And then I can actually share this. I can share this with all of us. But no, I don't want to do that. I want to do this instead. Where did it go? It's in here. There we go. So there's the Rasmussen poll, and this is the approval index. So of course, the red is the people that strongly disapprove, and the green is those who do approve. And you notice the trend in this polling number is that number keeps getting wider and wider. And the number of people that disapprove is continuing to grow, and the number of people that approve of his actions are continuing to drop. And the reason that I cite, and you do it for the same reason, Miranda, the reason that I cite Rasmussen polling is because they traditionally only poll Republicans. They only poll Republicans. And invariably they don't poll anyone else. That number says a shit ton. It really does. That number says this is a fucking problem, and it's not going to go away. And he's going to continue to be difficult. And it's never going to let up. I mean, give me a fucking break, really. So now, do we want to talk about couch fucker? I love to pick on him, couch fucker. I'm convinced.
That's too kinky for me.
There's no kink shaming in the Pleasure Dome. Let's stop it. We don't kink shame people. That's bad. So Vance wants the Justice Department to investigate hospitals over alleged fraud in transgender care of minors. And he's citing a report that's pushed by RFK Jr.'s org. I accusing pediatric clinics of misleading billing codes to give kids affirming care because they can't do it otherwise. You know, you have hyperhidrosis, I have to give you estrogen for that. Because we'll accept in severe red states, this is happening, right? I mean, we all agree with this, that this is a thing. That is legit happening. That if they take gender affirming care away, then that means that people are going to codify shit differently to get people who need gender affirming care, whatever. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't crazy. I mean, I know you don't necessarily live in a red state, but Miranda, are your kids getting the care they need?
So even though state law supports gender affirming care for minors here starting at age 16, the major hospital systems have folded to the feds.
Right.
So I have one who's kind of ambivalent and doesn't mind waiting, and one who's really struggling because he wants to go on T and can't.
And there should be nothing that stops him from that either. I mean, really, there should be nothing that stops him from that in any normal capacity. There's no reason for that. You know, yeah, it's sad. It's really sad. So we have to talk about Chevron Jones and Brandon. I want your take on this. So on August 11th, Florida voters got a text claiming Chevron Jones, who was the state's first out as gay black senator, and he's running for Frederica Wilson's seat, was refused a blood donation for testing positive for HIV. And the text message and the accompanying video was stitched from a 2020 clip about a plasma ban by the FDA, which has long since been gotten rid of. And it basically lied about being paid for by Equality Florida. You know, they completely lied about it. But have we really reached a point where weaponizing HIV infections is now a thing again?
Mm-hmm.
So he needed blood, and they refused it because he was HIV positive. Am I getting that right?
Yes. Or that was the grift. Wasn't actually true.
And was he? I guess it doesn't really matter. But was he undetectable?
Could have been, yeah. Yeah, it could have been completely. You know, basically the story showed that Jones being turned away from a donation from donating convalescent plasma under FDA guidance that restricted donations from sexually active queer men was a bad thing. Here's the thing: he was never HIV positive because I just hit the article. It was just an assumption that he was because he was a gay man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I didn't catch that.
And so like the ban on gay men and gay women. Actually, gay women could give blood all day, but for a long time, gay men could not.
Yeah.
it was completely disallowed. When was the last time you gave blood, Brandon? Do you remember?
No, it's been a while.
Right. Because it was illegal for so long. I knew gay guys here in Atlanta that would lie about, like, they get to that question on the Red Cross form or whatever, and they knew they weren't carrying HIV. I mean, they were current on their test. They'd lie and say, "Nope, never had sex with a man before." Because giving blood is a lot fucking more important than who you're sleeping with, especially if you have, if you have. I, Here's an interesting thing about that, especially if you have uh, undeclared blood. So I want your opinion about this too, Brandon, because so um, me and some queer friends were talking about this in a discussion um, earlier yesterday, and saying that you're clean versus saying that you're undeclared, does that shame somebody that is or is not HIV positive?
I've heard like in the last few years, being clean does not, like, they used to use that as, do you have any STIs or STDs or whatever? Do you have HIV? But that's kind of shifted, and it's, from what I understand in the community, that it's kind of offensive to refer to someone who does or doesn't have HIV as being clean or not.
Right.
Now being clean is has a different meaning. So, but you know, I won't get into detail of that. But
yeah, I mean, like, so my last RPR with Reflex, I was listed as non-reactive. So non-reactive is the actual technical term. And my last PSA was within range because I broke up with my partner. I was going to be sexually active again. And to qualify for PrEP, you have to prove you're not HIV positive, or you can't take PrEP, it won't do anything. Doxy PEP is a different story. That's if you're exposed to chlamydia or gonorrhea or syphilis or whatever. And so, for those that don't know who are in the channel watching, when you're a queer person, you take PrEP every day, and that protects you from HIV 97.9%. You're going to be pretty well protected from somebody that has what they call a viral load, or they're viral in nature, versus somebody who's undetectable, which they're not going to pass the virus whether you're on PrEP or not. And then for everything else outside of HPV, herpes, it's a doxycycline dose for a couple of days after you've had initial contact. And so, as a queer person, that means I take my PrEP every day, and then if I go out with somebody and I end up bringing them home, and I end up having sex with the person, then the very next day I take a doxy dose, and then I do it again the day following, just to be sure. But yeah, saying non-reactive versus clean, I don't know. I think it feels discriminatory to say that. It also feels like it's actually not right. I mean, people say, "Oh, I'm clean." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I guess I know what that means." It's what, Brandon? You don't want to talk about anal?
Well, not necessarily. I just didn't think the other chat members want to hear about it.
Eileen loves you very much, Brandon. I should point this out. I should point this out. So then we get to talk about Max Miller. So you know about the Max Miller drama. Okay, so Max Miller is married to Representative Moreno's daughter, and he's the one who basically is purported to have held her in a chokehold, pointed a gun to her head, and then turned around and broke the collarbone of their 2-year-old child.
Yeah, wasn't there also something about him pouring boiling water on her or trying to, or
Yeah,
I don't know.
and so
Lots of details, lots of abuse.
yeah, so what happened was like all of this shit fucking happened. And I'm not gonna lie, Max Miller's a piece of shit. That motherfucker needs to be bent over a leather daddy's leather horse, had his legs spread, and then spanked until his ass is a good shade of red. Really. For him being the person he is, because fuck that guy.
There'd probably be a lot of people willing to do it. He looks like a very pretty boy.
Yeah, right. I might even top him for that. And that's saying something. But filings have said that Miller swore to a county magistrate that he had doorbell footage and an eyewitness is disputing his ex-wife's account. His lawyer later emailed opposing counsel and admitted that the witness wasn't there and that Max Miller had lied. And so an August 6th motion alleges that the court was never told and the order stood. But, I mean, and there are GOP people who are rushing to defend this motherfucker. Why? Is the political situation so intense that now we're allowing domestic abusers to get away with whatever the fuck it is they want to get away with just so they can retain control?
Blind loyalty?
I have a problem with that. I have a real problem with that. And do you know why I have a problem with that? Because if you go to jail for domestic abuse and you spend time in jail for domestic abuse and you're in general population, you know what happens? You get fucked up. I kid you not, there's 3 things that you don't want to do that will send you to prison. You don't want to be guilty of anything related to CSAM, and we all know what CSAM is. You don't want to be a domestic abuser, and you don't want to rape somebody's wife. You do any of those 3 things, and you go to prison, if you don't get killed, a lot worse is going to happen to you. Because those guys all have kids, and they all have wives, and they take that shit seriously. So, yeah, I'd love to see Max Miller go to jail for a week or 2 just to get an attitude adjustment. It won't happen, but it would be nice if it did. Because yeah, you don't fuck around with that shit. So yeah, Not everything that's faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced. James Baldwin, 62. And it's 64 years old, and yet it has outlived every administration that made it necessary. Baldwin withholds. He promises nothing, only the door that has to open before anything else behind it can move. Um, you know, 3 doors today. A woman selling her own kind of airtime, a war that will never end, and then climate change shit happening in Paris. And so when I looked at it, I said, I looked straight at that. I looked as queer forward because I don't look at things straight. I don't look at things straight anyway.
Let me be queer.
Yes, that's right. um, I looked at that transcript and I didn't flinch. I've been 61 kinds of afraid in my body at numerous iterative times, but I've never been afraid of a woman on television. And what I slid past was smaller. A friend's voicemail that I still haven't returned. I cast my lot a long time ago with ones who stay, and staying is not a mood. It's a chore list. It really is. The land outside my door has outlasted everything. I should be the same. I mean, let's be clear. I'm going to say something very funny about this. So I'm dating again, right? I'm single again. I actually registered a FetLife profile, which is a website geared towards the BDSM community. And I want to tell you, I'm just going to be honest with everybody. I've met way more kind-hearted people there than I have anywhere else. Are they kinky as fuck? Yes. But, I went on a date with somebody that I met on FetLife, and she was a trans girl, and she was like, "Are you okay? Are you going to be okay? Is there something you need?" I literally, the whole date, I was like, are you talking to me? Yeah, I just want to make sure you're okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you for asking. And so, that the communities that exist outside the normal strata, like the furry community and the BDSM community and the kink communities, or like those people all care way more than going on Grindr, where you get a message, "Hey, you want to fuck?" I mean, yes, but no. I mean, Brandon, I have to tell you, I had one the other day. I'm gonna read this to you. I want your honest opinion about it. Let me bring it up, because I was like, um, so my Grindr profile lists me as a dominant maternal person, and so this guy on Grindr sends me a message and he says, "Hi, mommy. I've been naughty. I need to be punished. Come to my hotel and put me in a cage." What? I'm not kink shaming anybody, but are you kidding me? Really? That's what you lead off with? Okay, Grindr. Thank you.
It's not surprising.
It isn't? Why isn't it surprising, Brandon?
Oh, Grindr. I mean, people will say the craziest things to start off with. They'll send the craziest things, the pictures and everything. It's like,
They assume just being on the app is consent for a lot of things.
Yeah.
Whereas the set life crowd are like, no, there's consent at every point along the way.
I mean, this one was my favorite one. So the guy sent me a dick pic because on Grinder, I mean, Brandon, confirm please. Dick pics on Grinder is an everyday occurrence.
Oh yes, yes.
Okay.
Actually,
So,
dick pics and ass pics both. I've seen a lot of ass pics.
So this kid sends me a picture of his private parts, and he says, "Hey, you ever seen a cock this big?" And here was the thing. I'm just gonna call this out. Maybe twice the size of my index finger, but the length of my index finger. And I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say anything. Now I can't fucking resist. And I tell him, I've had much bigger and fatter, kid. You need to go away. And his reply is classic. He says, dildos don't count, dumbass. What? And so sure. Uh, you know, uh, and so you need to keep trying. And so he then says, it's too big for you, isn't it? And I was like, not big enough, Tiny. Keep trying. And then he blocked me, of course. But is toxic masculinity, like even in the gay community, why does toxic masculinity exist? I just is there a thing about toxic masculinity now? I mean, queer communities that it has to happen now because it's not happening in straight communities anymore or some shit. I don't know, but
That was definitely happening in straight communities.
um, so you know, I thought about that when I said to myself, I grabbed my copy. Miranda will be very proud of me. I grabbed my copy of A Burst of Light and flipped through to about page 30 or 40. And caring for myself is not self indulgence, it's self preservation. And that itself is an act of political warfare. Lord wrote that in '88. And she literally wrote it while she was dying from cancer. And um, so I asked myself, what do I protect? I said, I protect the part of me that still notices trees turning early, and that part is the whole reason that the rest of it is worth doing. So, um, so is it selfish to do that? So this is a question for Miranda, because I had to ask myself this question, and I'm going to ask you this question. Um, who taught you that that was selfish?
Okay, I got lost. Who taught that what's selfish?
When you protect the thing about yourself, who's the one that taught you that that was selfish? Because somebody taught you that it was selfish. Otherwise, you wouldn't feel guilty about it.
Oh yeah, um, family, peers at school. Like you grow up with that kind of thing being reinforced.
Yeah, they, again, bad science fiction quote, but you know, at some point in our lives, we reach a point where one of us, each of us, really turns to somebody, a father, a brother, a church, a pastor, whoever, and you ask the question, is there nothing more? Is this what I'm supposed to be? And, you know, they should answer that question with, it's whatever you want to be, not, yes, this is all there is. And yes, there's nothing more. And, you know, every damn one of them is wrong that says that. And so, you know, I asked that question when I was young, and I got that answer, and I didn't accept it. I didn't like it, but I didn't accept it. And so, you know, that's what happens. Did somebody teach you that it was selfish, Brandon?
Same answer as Miranda.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, family, school, church.
I think the most common way that people give up their power is by thinking they don't have it. Walker in the 90s.
Yeah, that reminds me of something my friend Samantha says on her live. She'll talk about uh, how sometimes we don't become brave enough to do the thing that we want to do
Yes.
until we actually do
Yes. We should have her on the show.
it.
You should tell her to contact me. We should have her on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the whole core of that is that today, cost the fatigue of watching power behave exactly as it's advertised. A talk show, a straight, a boardroom, whatever the fuck. And what the news cycle won't tell you is that somebody's signature or a governor's budget line landing somewhere unremarked, it's all bullshit. The body learns the losses by name and files the wins by as noise. It just goes into a noise. So how does my survival look tomorrow? I get up and I walk to the train and I go to work and um, I it's a ridiculous use of a Saturday or a Sunday or whatever day, but it's exactly the right, you know, bag slung over my shoulder, a creek bottom down the street, 2 hours where not one damn thing asks me to be brave and no one gives a shit. And what will I come home with? That might be nothing. I don't give a shit. I'll do it anyway. I'll do it anyway. And neither of you, Brandon, Miranda, anybody watching the show should do any different. All right, so now you ready to pick apart my foodie item, Brandon?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Miso butter udon with spinach and egg.
Miso. Wait, say that one more time.
Miso butter. So miso influenced butter
Mm-hmm.
with udon noodles, UDON noodles with spinach and egg. So basically, boil the packs of udon, save a cup of the water, and in a pot, 3 tablespoons of white miso, 3 tablespoons of butter, 2 grated garlic cloves, just a splash, not even really a tablespoon, but a splash of soy sauce. And then whisk the noodle water until it's sort of glossy. Fold the spinach, return the noodles, and then crown each bowl with an egg and serve it.
Yeah. Just kind of like a Japanese spin on butter noodles and
Yeah.
with the spinach too. But yeah.
Yeah. If you want to throw sesame seeds over the top of it, go right ahead. Just realize that if you take a drug test, you might test positive for opium.
Oh, I was planning to test positive anyway.
You might test positive if you take a test. If you take a test. And then I wrote about the largest indigenous fruit. Well, first, Brandon, would you eat that?
Yeah. Except, is the egg, when you put the egg on top, is it like you just crack it?
Yeah,
open
you
on
crack
top, or
it,
is
and then
cooked?
crack it, and then just let the remaining.
I don't know about the
What?
egg. I'm not a fan of uncooked egg.
It's gonna be cooked, kinda.
Huh?
It's gonna be cooked, kinda. So do you not like?
Yeah.
So if you don't like that, doing like a soft boiled egg or something can be really good too.
Yeah, I don't do like eggs over easy or whatever, where you cut into it and like it oozes.
Oh my god, that one out there, that's her shtick, is to go to Waffle House and order the hash brown bowl with the egg sunny side up, and then it comes, and then she cuts into it, and the yellow oozes out or whatever. Like, that's not sexual.
Give me a runny egg any day.
I know.
Yeah, it runs all over it, and then she folds it over, and then she eats it. You can't do that right now, really?
No, it's just, I don't know what it's just a thing.
Well, I'm trying to feed you and 2 other people for less than $9, so I don't think you can bitch.
I can.
He can. He will.
So, Georgia to Michigan, there's a fruit called the pawpaw. Do you know about the pawpaw fruit?
Pawpaw? I've
Yes.
heard of it. I've never tried it or anything.
Asminia triloba is what it is. And it's one of those things that's native to North America, but people think it's a tropical fruit. It's not. And you can harvest them in late August or September. And the ripeness just means that it's soft. You squeeze, it squeezes like a peach. And here's the thing: you don't pick it off of the tree. You just shake the tree, and they all fall down. But eating it is a strong antiseptic, and juicing it is a strong antiseptic and a strong dental draw. You know how they say, swish around coconut oil in your mouth to draw out bacteria? Pawpaw fruit does the
same thing. Okay.
And so, as an extenuation of that, pawpaw seed can't be dried. You let it dry and it dies. So you rinse the seeds, you seal them in a bag, and then you set them back on the refrigerator, and then you can use the seed to plant more of them, to tincture and juice draw for the benefit. And pawpaw is it's like pokeweed. Pokeweed is a big thing down in the South. It's a big purple stalky plant with leaves on it, that grows wild out in the woods. And you literally can strip the leaves off, boil them, and sanitize them and eat them. And it's actually it doesn't taste great, but it's pretty appetizing. Not appetizing. It's beneficial to eat it. So Brandon, what do you have lined up for next week?
Well, Tuesdays is my regular podcast with Sturge, and right now I don't think I have anybody. I've been talking to several people, but like one went to the hospital for something, and they're kind of up in the air. I think he's better now, but trying to set up a time with him. And then there's another lady who's a farmer in Maine, and we're gonna do a live at some point, but we're gonna do a Zoom beforehand, so that's gonna be next week. But I don't think I have any actual lives scheduled for next week, but just my regular, articles, daily articles, and I'm planning on doing a baking video today.
Oh, you're gonna make a baking video?
Yes.
I love to promote your baking videos.
It'll be sometime after we get done with this. I don't know, maybe half hour or hour afterward, maybe something like that. Maybe I'll start it at 4.
That's maybe you'll start it at 4.
45, about 45 minutes.
What? But that's for your time, though.
For my time, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Cool. All right. Well, if neither of you have anything, then I'll go ahead and close, and then we can go into the. Actually, you both can just gracefully drift off into the ether, and I'll read the closing, because I'm really shoot from the hip. So thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Miranda. In case you can't hear me. So I'm going to say the blessing for the road ahead, and that's, go on out into the world that will absolutely try you, and take this. The administration, the empire, whatever the fuck you want to call it, it's loud. And it's also a shrug. It has no plan for you, for me, for anyone else. And because it doesn't, you just need to keep yourself whole. You've carried more than your share, and nobody in a green room will notice, which is exactly why we notice each other. Just remember that you're not alone. Be findable tomorrow. Be gentler with yourself than the news was gentle with you. Do good things. Stay safe. As I tell everyone, please consider subscribing. I can't do this work without your support. Neither can Miranda, neither can Brandon. We're all just journalists trying to get by, trying to survive this whatever fucked up dystopia we're in. And so with that, I will leave you all a blessing with you until we meet again. Bene anach let gus atikoan et sinurist. Be safe and be good.